Hey guys, hope you're well. So I've been running a 3-week challenge to give away my book signed. This last week is pending a little bit difficult with postage and stuff, being that things are closed in Switzerland, but where there's a will, there's a way, a little bit of patience, and I'm going to announce the third winner, so please see the description. So I've been up for 2 hours at 5 training. During this time, with the difficulties of all that's transitioning in the world, I've lost over 5 weeks worth of work in one of my working areas, and at the same time I have a high-risk mother and school closure for 5 weeks at this stage. So there's a lot of things, that are challenging, and so I thought it was a great final kind of closure at this point in time for Open Your Hearts to Happy with this conversation. So one of the things that I notice when I talk to a lot of people and I work with people, they say, but I have this, but I have that, but I must work, but I have children. And that really hits home because a few years ago I used to say that. Today I am overwhelmed with not having the income coming in and overwhelmed with, life, not knowing how everything's going to transition. But at the same time, I understand it's life and all I can do is accept that and feel that anyway. And I have to look after 2 girls at homeschool from 8:30 until 5, helping another mother out. So I didn't know when I would have time to train. And so I got up at 5 a.m. and I did my training. So one of the things that I know is when you open your hearts to happy, it's not about looking perfect. It's about finding a way to make things happen, making time, not always having time or the perfect situation. On what I was good at. So like if you judge a fish by how they climb a tree, they're not worthy because it's not really their skill. So what happens all the time when we grow up is our parents and our people that in our culture values us on things that may not be our skill or may not be where we reside in the world, and or may not be valued culturally, society, and so our worthiness decreases because we've been taught that these parts of humanness that we have are not worthy, and our parents would have had the same through culture, through their parents' upbringing, education, and so on and so forth. One of the things I've learned through Open Your Hearts to Happy is that even though my parents loved me and they think I'm worthy, they didn't quite project it well. And I had to find my own set of worthiness, understand that, okay, I may not be a scientist and I may not be the most brilliant at languages, but I do have gifts in the world and these bring my worth to life. And these are the things I have to understand. And even if people don't see it, I have to understand they're there and find people also that also enjoy those gifts. Worthiness will always be subjective. So that's why we have to look at the context of the environment, the context of the culture, the context of the people that you're around, the teachings, the educations. And then finally, you have to open up and look at your thoughts and what thoughts you have accrued over time that is society's, cultures, other people's truths that have made you feel unworthy, and realize that you can change them, which is the final thing to creating worthiness. And it's really important to understand, the same as with our self-love. Self-love is not the be-all and ultimate to make you happy. It's important to accrue over time, but sometimes self-acceptance is more the key than anything else. So being able to understand it's okay to be whom you are, it's okay to feel these emotions, it's okay that you might be overwhelmed or that you're not functioning so well or that you have these things and those things that are different from others. So wipe that thing away that you need to have self-love to move forward, because a lot of us are still working on that, and I still work on it. Some days I feel like I've got myself, and other days I feel like, ugh, who wants to live with this person? And so what you need to understand is, and I learnt this the hard way, was when someone goes through depression, it's a symptom of loneliness and fear and isolation. They're fragmented in themselves through shame and judgment and cultural teachings and all of those things and people. And so they don't accept things, and they might mask emotions, as I talked about in my post yesterday. And at the same time, with this fragmenting, they disconnect from themselves and they can disconnect from others. And when we disconnect from others, it's often the case that we have no connection in the world. And that's why when we come to the point where we are thinking about taking one's life, there are some people that are successful and some aren't. And the reason I wasn't was my brother reminded me of the connection in this world, which was my daughter sitting there. And because I had that connection, even though I didn't have self-love or self-acceptance or feel worthy, I had a reason to exist. And a reason to exist, a purpose, is so important in life. And that connection with someone, if it's not with yourself, can be positive and negative. That's why cults and negative people that aren't doing the best things in the world can also keep someone alive, because they have a connection and purpose attached. So as we go through this moment of isolation or changes or unknownness in the world, I want you to remind you of this. You have connection. Many years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, or when my mum and dad traveled in the 70s, they couldn't just ring a family friend and say, "Are you okay?" or their family or their friends or anyone. They didn't just have Wi-Fi to go online and check out how to do a handstand, how to study something online for the kids if kids were at home, how to translate languages. They were in Sri Lanka, they were in Bali, they were in Portugal, they were in Germany, they were in Andorra, they were in Spain, they were in Germany, they were in so many, Switzerland, so many countries. And I asked my mum how she got round, and she said, well, I drawed a picture of a map. She didn't even have a map. And we drove. No navy, nothing. And they didn't have languages. So as we have connection and possibilities and positivity, open your hearts to happy is finding what we can be grateful for and doing what we can in this moment. So I ask you to ring a loved one and connect with them. It can make all the difference, a smile, a laugh. And if you need love, connecting is the key. I ask you to see that there is possibilities amongst it all. And I ask you to remember that you are awesome, and I journey with you, and I love and accept you.